The year is 4708, the month Farast. The snow from winter is beginning to melt as the start of spring has warmed the city. But it's not merely the time of year for the snow to melt, no. This time of year, the imps and the house drakes join in the skies in mass battles. An odd sight, perhaps, to newcomers, but a common one for those local to the city. A city called the largest in Varissia, a mixing bowl where Varissians and Chilaxians are most common, such that it can be called Little Cheliax. Welcome to Corvosa. Hey players, roll me a d20 so I can see who to bully first.
Haha, I rolled a 5. Well, at least I'm not first.
You are not
Regardless
first.
which way she's starting from.
So, Levi,
Yes.
the place you're hanging out is the horse shop. It's a no-frill shop, based on its simple name. It's a combination livery stable and equestrian supply. It is known for its fair prices. And I imagine you're tending to your horse there.
Yes.
So, your horse begins to have this coughing fit. It might not be the most odd thing considering your horse, but is there
No.
something you'd like to do about it?
Yes. Since horses don't typically cough that often, I'd probably see if there's anything coming out from said cough. You know, phlegm, regurgitation, blood.
No
Details to
phlegm.
basically describe to a horse master.
No
I
phlegm,
think that's
no
called a
blood.
vet.
Well, I don't know what the Pathfinder equivalent of a vet would be besides a druid that's inside the city, so
I think it might still be a vet, to be honest.
probably. it could just be the stable master.
The Stable Master would probably be a good place to go. But, you know, it seems like a dry cough. There's nothing exiting the horse's mouth.
Okay. Well, I'm going to probably seek out the stable master and see if they have a vet on hand that can possibly help, because dry coughs is concerning.
You do so. The Stable Master isn't sure quite what's going on when you seek him out, but he'll go take a look personally with you. See if he can suss anything out. They don't have a vet on site at the moment, but if there needs to be one called, he's pretty sure he can get a hold of one.
Okay.
So, as he takes time to examine your horse, something's wrong with horse. What? Well, why? So, as he takes time to examine your horse, he checks to see if there's something blocking the airway. Oh, hey, Levi, right? You mind trying to hold this horse's mouth open real quick? I don't want to lose my hand. Maybe he'll trust you more than me.
Okay. I will attempt an animal handling check to
Alright.
make sure Tough doesn't bite him.
Sounds good to me.
Ooh, Tough might not be in a good mood.
He's not in his best mood, but he trusts you enough. You're his handler. You're his cavalier, so, he lets this man reach in and, I think I see something there. He plucks out probably a strange thing. It's a card. Is it yours?
Tough, what did we talk about going through the trash again? I need to know. Tough. This is what happens every time. He'll pluck out the card and see what it is.
Inscribed on the front of the card, you see an armored knight. Beneath, written, the Paladin. But more interesting is what's on the back. But we'll get to that real soon. Erica! Erica, you're pretty new in town. You've kind of just arrived. You're at the Shoreline Drink Hall. It's a popular drink hall, or so you hear. It's apparently got fair prices and stiff drinks, though I'm sorry to say that the meals on offer, they might not be quite up to your standards.
Unfortunately, that's to be expected. Okay, well, first things first, we should settle getting our room since we are going to be here for a bit. So I guess she will turn to her hireling there.
Olive is attending you.
Yes. And just tell Olive to get the bags ready as she makes her way towards the counter to rent a room.
Yes, my lady, I will see to it. You sure you don't want me to, handle the room rental as well? If you can settle into, well, I suppose the bar here, and I could let you know when the room's ready.
I mean, I am absolutely willing to go with that one, too. And Eureka will hand over the coin pouch so that it can be paid for.
She'll accept the coin pouch, and as you turn back towards your dismal meal and your drink, there's something placed in front of you that wasn't there before. It appears to be an envelope. It has your house's markings upon it, a wax seal already broken.
Okay, well, whoever opened this is in trouble. But she'll pick it up and slip it into her pocket for now, and she will check it out when she's a little less in less of a public area. So once the room is ready.
Alright. Leloot.
Okay. That would be my character.
Leloot. Where you are presently is the Whitecaps. It's an older inn. It's relatively cheap though. It's also conveniently located near the exit of town should one of your forays get you in a bit of trouble. It's definitely an inn that's easily a century past its prime. It looks old. It smells old. It feels old. Though, perhaps the smell of mold, the muskiness, isn't too unappealing to you.
Alright. What camps? I can't quite remember. What part of town is that in?
Definitely the North Point. You should be able to see on your map where your pog is located.
Oh. Okay, I see. Yeah, she's probably getting ready to set out for the day. Likely leaving her fairly heavy supplies in the room, which includes a backpack and other various survival accoutrements. Not quite used to having to be back in town still, I imagine, from her travelings recently. But when you have an axe to grind, it needs must.
You do have
So
a
she's
problem
making-
with someone in the city. That is true. Oh.
So
As
she's
you-
making sure she has her scythe, her sickle ready, has her little familiar carrier with her. Which would be a Scarlet Spider? Yeah, Scarlet Spider. Why am I
Yeah.
confused by my own familiar? What the hell's wrong with me?
I think you're tired, buddy. Well, as you gather your things, you find underneath your pack there seems to be a card. One of the Harrow. The bottom line of text reads, "The Mute Hag." Its depiction? Well, I'm sure you can make a real quick guess what's on it. It of course depicts a hag. A hag whose eye is in the palm of their hand. But
Huh.
inspecting the card, there is something written on its back. Aethelred.
Mm-hmm.
A youth set up at Baylor's Retreat. Papers set off in front of you. Orders for not just the business where you work, but also the other business that happens where you work.
Mm-hmm.
And you've also been compiling your evidence, I imagine.
Ethelred is currently effectively either writing letters on official business, or he is creating what is amounts to handwritten carbon copies of said things on the side.
Of course. Of course.
And the pile and the forgery pile are slowly stacking up.
Well, as one pile diminishes, you know, the copies that you're making, something sits between some of the pages that you may not quite recall. Falling from your papers, a Harrow card. This Harrow depicts some sort of man? Monster? A beast-headed man. Set before a statue. His inscription reads, "The Rakshasa."
Rather than pick it up and flip it over and examine it initially, he will lean on his elbows and he will pick up what he's been eating for dinner. And this place is famous/infamous for what it actually produces, which is effectively all of the fish offcuts smashed together into a paste. He has taken the executive decision to make it more palatable by just deep frying it in fingers.
You're
Takes
actually
a bite out of one.
You're actually eating the fish dumplings. Ugh.
Look, if you deep fry something in oil, it generally becomes a lot more palatable. And when you're a broke-ass bitch on low pay, you kinda need to do what you need to do.
That's fair.
So he eats some of this deep-fried fish slime. He gives one of his big, stupid, floppy ears a flick. Strokes his beard. Then finally reaches down, takes the card in thumb and forefinger, and just flips it over.
Oh, there's also something written on the back. Erica, so your room has been settled. Olive
Okay.
has aided in moving your bags, getting you moved in and settled. It's cozy enough. She certainly wouldn't want to have her lady in squalor. But it's also... it's budget. It's budget. You don't want to burn all your money on your in-room, right?
No, of course. Like, can't waste all the spending money because not sure when I'm going to be able to make more easily. Well, going into the room, I'm going to lock the door behind me, and then I will check what is in this envelope that should not have been opened.
Bits and pieces. Bits and
Of who?
pieces that are torn, partially burnt, and there's also a Harrow card. The Harrow card depicts the Fiend, a fiendish creature devouring innocence. Though perhaps that's less interesting to you than the contents of the letter, but you might need to work at it if you want to know what it's about.
Would that be a linguistics check to try and piece it back together?
I would happily see a linguistics check for that. Oh. Okay.
Bad.
So, it is a letter from your sister, Cordelia. It is addressed to a Gadron lamb. It's a large... It's not very easy to make out a lot of the details of the letter since there's just so much of it missing.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks like a business transaction. And there's a suspicion that whoever this Gadron lamb is, it's definitely someone your sister intends to use as a pawn. Some things used against you in your little game. Though, you're probably not familiar with who this Gadron lamb is.
Oh, I don't like this, because clearly whoever slipped me this is trying to place me against this person, but unfortunately they picked the exact right bait to just make me walk into it willingly.
Now I think it's time to reveal what's on the back of these cards.
Yes, please do. The anticipation is killing me, and the lute is feeling impatient that someone has been through with things.
On the back of the cards, the inscription reads, "I know what Gadron has done to you. He has wronged me as well. I know where he dwells, yet cannot strike at him. Come to my home at 3 Lancet Street at sunset. Others like you will be there. Gadron must face his fate, and justice must be done."
Side
Okay,
of
seems
evil
like-
as Rube. It's quiet, other than the chewing of horrendous fish dumplings.
Well, the lute assumes this is the night that bitches die.
And Levi's just gonna be like, "You wanted to get a message to me, and his first thought was to stick it in my horse's mouth?"
Hey, it's probably not the messenger's fault. Your horse has some habits.
I mean, he does.
Is this horse like James's fucking Weeping Bell, and it just spends most of the campaign trying to just eat your head?
I was going for more of a... Well, I won't say that yet. That's spoilers.
Okay.
Eureka is going to turn to Olive and be like, "Okay, well, it looks like I'm going to be out late this evening, so once you're done making sure everything is clean, I guess you're off for the night."
Well,
Very good, my lady. You have a good evening.
Oh, somebody's not going to have a good evening.
So Ethelred will stand up. He will put the finished to be dispatched papers on the out pile, and one of the other guys can get that. And all of the forged documents replicating the information and implicating, and all the nice implicating bits will be folded up and tucked inside of his robe. Just his glasses. Get a cheap rolled up cigarette out, light it with a spark of Eldritch energy, and he'll put his hat on and leave. He's done here anyway.
Alright. Are there preparations before meeting at sunset, or shall we move right along?
Other than Erika leaving behind everything that is generally too heavy to carry on a this kind of adventure, I don't think she's going to do any other preparing.
Too heavy to carry on a clandestine meeting. The boiler trunk can stay.
Well, like her violin, she doesn't need that.
You might not need a violin where you're going.
Well, Lelut is actually going to cast Goodberry and put the various different berries into the bandolier she has.
Okay.
Right, so let me see. That's 2d4. When you're druid, you might as well have cheap potions on the ready.
I suppose. No
And
argument here.
She has no idea why these people haven't invited her, or if it's genuine. Ah, she almost got she's a little over half on that. Nice.
Levi's just gonna make sure he's got everything packed and start riding that way to probably head there a little early, just in case.
Okay, okay. So, making your way there, those that do, it's a small, humble home on the exterior. There's not a lot really to say about it. It's fairly unremarkable here in the city. However, the interior. The interior of this small and humble home consists of a single cozy chamber. It's filled with a fragrant haze of flowers and strong spice. The aroma comes from several sticks of incense smoldering in wall-mounted burners that look like butterfly-winged elves. The smoke gives the room a dreamy feel. The walls are draped with brocaded tapestries, one showing a black-skulled beast juggling human hearts, and another showing a pair of angels dancing atop a snow-blasted mountain. A third tapestry on the far wall depicts a tall and hooded figure shrouded in mist, holding a flaming sword in a skeletal hand. Several brightly colored rugs cover the floor, but the room's only furnishings are a wooden table covered by a bright red throw-cloth, and several elegant, tall-backed chairs. A basket covered by blue cloth sits under the table. And also on this table, there is a note.
Okay.
I do have to ask, so everybody has shown up, right?
I know Levi's making it there early.
Okay.
It sounded like Aethelred might also be heading there.
No,
Ethelred-
Oh, sorry.
Ethelred intends to arrive exactly when he was told to. Not before, not later.
Why do I picture your goat man somewhere out on the other side of the street, just kind of, just waiting, staking out the location.
I
Just this
love that
hunch-
you say that because Erika was going to do that. Arrive a little bit before and stake it out from the alley across just to make sure.
So, this hunchback goat man with a wide-brimmed hat is smoking a cigarette across the street, and across from him is this slightly sneaky-looking noble lady in an alleyway, and very occasionally they just look at each other, and then go back to pretending they don't notice each other.
Pretty much.
And
Oh,
then,
it's beautiful.
yep, and then just this red-haired guy in full armor, like, rides up to the house on a horse, gets off, and it looks around, it's like, oh, I guess this is the place. Walks on in.
Beautiful. I love it.
Ah,
Lelut's admittedly might be getting what she feels is late, as she will be running up to it in a bit of a tizzy with speed. She's not looking for anyone or any signs that there might be something amiss. She is just quite brazenly shoulder barging through people to get to the door, throwing it open, and just stomping on it with a look of thunder on her face.
Well, Levi, Lelut, you both seem to have beat your host here, as you both find yourselves standing in this room, a box of bread under the table, and this note that you can stare down. This pleasant note that reads, "Thank you for coming. I had to step out for a bit, but shall return shortly. Please have a seat while you wait. The basket under the table contains bread and drink for you."
Well, after seeing that in the note, Lilith's going to look over to the armored man, shouldering her scythe with the blade going behind her back. Adira, are you here for the same reason I am? As she holds up her card, which was the mute hag, wasn't it?
It was the mute hag, yes.
Ah, good. Remember correctly.
Well, yes. As Levi holds up his card with the paladin on it, it's like, yeah, darndest thing. Found it inside my horse's throat. Told me to come here.
Her druidic inclinations make her frown, and she's like, horses are not meant to eat such garbage.
Listen,
That's what I keep saying! He won't listen!
Actually, yeah, it's like, look, I keep telling Tuft that he's not supposed to get around the garbage, but I don't know if it's the nose on him or I can't keep him out. I try. But yeah, we're still waiting a little bit for Mary and Aethered to show up. Levi's just gonna pick a seat, probably with his back to one corner, and oh, okay, bread, drinks, yeah, sure, why not?
The bread's a little bit stale, but filling.
She'll abstain from both since she is feeling a bit paranoid, and she's now just kind of quietly wondering, what did Gadrin do to him? Because it's the only thing she can think of, because that's the only reason she's in town. That would be someone that's distinctly wronged her. And she makes no obfuscation of the fact that she is eyeballing him.
Eyeballing Levi?
Yes.
Oh. Levi will just hold over the bottle, and Brett's like, want some?
It's a bottle of wine. It's okay enough.
It's not bad. Only 1 day stale.
Eventually, Ethelred will look into the sky, look at the moon, look at the stars, look at the dimness, the clouds, and we'll make a rough, completely uninformed estimate. This is exactly the time he should be here.
Yeah, it's
And he'll
weird.
walk- he'll walk in
Ethelred and
himself.
Erica, you've been out here like just casually staking out the house, and the only people you've seen enter the home this entire time, or even really come close to it, were the two individuals that had entered: the crazy-looking wild woman, who's probably not so crazy or wild, and the armored fellow.
Well, Erica will pull her long gloves a little bit tighter and just let her cane click on the ground as she starts walking towards the door.
Ethelred will open the door. After you, my lady.
You know what? She'll walk in, ready to be attacked from behind, but still.
No,
Not today.
no, he just shuffles on in behind, closes the door, adjusts his hat.
The horse
it's a-
sitting
Quiet bear.
the horse sitting outside gives you a whinny as you enter.
Bear.
Barnyard animal speak. You guys wouldn't understand.
Erika, seeing the others here, instead of sitting down on any of the seats or anything, will simply stay standing basically in a position where she could easily reach the door if she needs to just walk out.
You know, Ethelred actually gives her a look. And there's this distinct impression that he is listening to something. And as he takes a seat, he goes, I don't think anyone here is actually intending to ambush you. I suppose if you're all being ambushed, we're all being ambushed. At least we could turn it into a trap for them.
I like the way you think.
Lily's just going to look over to them with an eyebrow raised at the mention of an ambush. Just slightly tightening the grip on her side. That would be very unwise.
Oh, I absolutely agree. We're all, after all, aware of that it could happen. On guard. And I don't think taking us by surprise would work out as quite as well as they would hope so. I have to all have friends keeping me in tabs of those around me. Go smile.
Well, I don't think whoever summoned us is trying to poison us, he says as he finishes off.
I'm glad you're ahead of the game.
It's always good to have tasters.
I wouldn't rate my sense of taste anymore, not after I've eaten so many of these. And he puts out a little wrapped packet of leftover, deep-fried, horrible fish mush in front of him and just starts eating that.
No, I was more talking as she gestures towards the wine and food that that has already been consumed. That tasters to make sure that the food isn't poisoned.
Yes, I agree, but surely you need a sense of taste to taste the poison in it. And he's completely just missing the point of you're dead if it's poisoned. He just completely over his head. It's like, yes, that's my point. My sense of taste isn't very good. Do you know how much salt they put in this? It's probably
No.
about 20% weight by. It's to hide all the flavor of unclean fish guts.
Oh,
And he puts
well,
another
if-
one in his mouth.
Lalud, having become actually familiar with the process of making it, just visibly wincing as Aetherian just takes bites of it.
Ah, you know what this is? I work in the factory where they make it.
Oh, yeah, those
Yeah,
are a
the
very
fish,
nice weekly delight. What are you talking about? Those are great.
the fish dumplings. They're definitely
Yeah.
a poor man's food, but they're a poor man's fish if you can't afford fresh fish.
Listen, you call them a poor man's food. I call them a great snack on the weekend.
You know
I,
what? I can't argue with you.
you know,
Fair.
I happen to agree. Once you've had a couple of cheap whiskies or some rot gut, and the only thing you're really craving after that, at about 3 a.m., is taking a bite of one of these dumplings and feeling a par-cut spinal column crunch behind your molars. Amazing.
Exactly.
Erika does let a little bit of a gag out.
Lilith's going to tap a few of the spots on the bandoliers with Goodberries, saying, "I have better options." And that, again, just has a full-on cringe as she probably watches you stuff another in your mouth.
I think I would have preferred getting ambushed.
They're not that bad. Okay, look, you need to drink plenty of water or you will get salt poisoning. It happens sometimes, but still drinking seawater. And idiots do that all the time. So I'm at least a step up from those.
Leilu looks like she's going to argue the point, and she stops and just has a moment where she visibly bites her finger as she has a thought and recomposes herself, and a moment kind of straightens and flattens the front of her outfit and goes, "Culinary inclinations aside, since me and him are here because of these," as she picks up her card from the table, "I am guessing you are here for the same, and you are not the hosts."
Erika will just pull out her card, flash it, and then slip it back into her pocket.
If I read will take out his card, place it down, and slide it into the table. Correct. I am not the host. I am simply here on invitation.
So,
Well, since we are all waiting, my name is Leilut. What of you? As she casts her hand generally to those seated at the table with her.
I am Ethelred Carowin, formerly of House, surprisingly, Carowin.
I am Erika Arion of House Arion from Cheliax.
Well, I am Levi, third of House Roseholmes, here of Corvosa.
So we have three noble or ex-noble scions sat in this room, and he makes prompting gestures towards the loot, assuming that she's also some kind of fucking noble, if deranged.
Sorry to disappoint, Deshvani. I am a simple druid.
Oh.
Yeah, and I technically don't have noble status. Lower class knight.
I was struck from the family, so I suppose I don't have any title to me either, besides my name. Okay, perhaps we're not all nobles. Perhaps none of us are.
No, I'm quite in with my family.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm here on family business.
He just gives her a look. It's like, I suppose the attitude marks you apart. Yes. I see it now.
What I know of Carvosa and its nobles, she may be here to trim the tree.
I don't think so. That tends to be the job of the lower classes. Menial work, you know? Labor.
Well, I won't be disclosing what my family business is. That is quite true, yes.
Lelut, he's not going to reveal whether or not he's taking the piss or entirely serious. It's hard to read his face, to be honest.
I mean, it's very goaty.
It's just this deadpan fucking stare. Slightly wall-eyed.
You know, with you playing this character and your usual hijinks, crap, we're in Goat Simulator.
Unsurprisingly, I've made that joke already.
Yes. I was there.
And we
Can
may
confirm.
be doing it. We may be poking at an invocation to allow it to happen. We'll see.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Anyway,
So,
Well,
at this point, at least a somewhat attractive, middle-aged Russian woman with long dark hair enters the room. And I actually have a picture for her.
yay.
Click.
Huh.
She's got a very Tianjia look to her.
A little bit, actually, now that you mention it.
She's got the features.
It is a big port town. She could have had a family from
I mean,
TNG.
sure. Sure could have. Oh no, she's just got some very Asian features on her. So it's like my brain went straight to Amiko.
So, she walks in and she closes the door behind her. She produces a Harrow deck that she just idly shuffles. I mean,
Would you like me to return this?
oh, that would actually be appreciated. It would be hard to do a reading later without him.
Yep. You know, something gave me that impression. Here you go.
She'll happily accept her
Erika.
card back.
Erika, slipping her card back out, will just casually toss it onto the table, but not really get much closer.
I do apologize for our other companion here. She seems to be paranoid that you will ambush her. Or I will ambush her. Or he will ambush her.
Yes.
Or the darkness shall ambush her.
The common metropolitan woman, and very frightening. I understand.
Oh, yes. Terrifying.
But
Leaf's
yes,
gonna
I should not
eyeball
jest
her.
too much. Go on.
We call them Karens.
Super tempted to waste a level 1 spell just to web bolt the goat to the chair.
Doombolt to the face.
No, web bolt. It's stickier and way harder to get out of the fur.
Leaf's gonna eyeball her card for a moment. Specifically the art of it before she hands it over.
Levi will hand his over with a nod and say, "Oh, and thanks for the bread."
She gives you a polite smile and a nod as you thank her for the bread. She knows it's a little stale.
Still tastes good to me.
That's what the wine's for. Washing
It's
it
true. Thank you for coming, my friends, and for putting up with my unconventional method of contacting you. I have some reason to remain hidden, you see. A vicious man would see great harm done to me if he knew I was reaching out for help. And this man has done something terrible to each of you as well. I speak, of course, of Gadrin Lamb, a man whose cruelty and capacity to destroy the lives of those he touches are matched only by his gift for avoiding reprisal. You see, a year ago his thieves stole my Harrow deck from me. It is important to me, an heirloom passed down through a dozen generations, and also my sole means of support. When Lamb's pickpocket stole it, my son Iren tracked them down and returned my deck to me. But Gadrin had him followed, and soon after he left my home, Gadrin's thugs murdered him. I sought help from the Corvosan Guard, but they turned me away, and so I asked around, I paid bribes, I consulted my Harrow deck for advice, and recently I was rewarded. I found out where Gadrin dwells. It can be found in an old fishery north of here at West Pier 17, where he trains abducted children to be pickpockets and counts his stolen treasures. But I need your help. I cannot hope to face this man on my own. And the guard moves so slowly that if they were willing to help, Gadrin would certainly know of their coming well in advance. And even if they arrested him, what guarantee would I have he would be punished? This criminal has evaded the law for decades. But you know of these frustrations as well, for word on the street has it that Gadrin has wronged each of you, too. So there we are. It's time for him to pay.
I will say, just reaching out and just for the goal of revenge, I can appreciate that.
Well, what I can add to this conversation is that if anyone has reservations that this is a setup by Mr. Lamb, I haven't made any copies of communications that would suggest that he's planning anything of the sort. When he pulls out all of the papers, like there's absolutely nothing in here. So I can confirm what she says is at least not one of his minions.
There is one more thing I can do for you. It'll be harrowing to help you prepare. She begins to deal 9 cards out from her Harrow deck onto the table in front of her. First, the choosing. Those that will be useful to you. Pick one.
Oh,
Ah,
Erika
Virgil.
will walk up and grab one. The bottom left, if it matters.
Alright. Erika, you turn over the Demon's Lantern.
This deck
Ah.
doesn't like me.
Oh. It represents an impossible situation, but it can also represent a light that can guide you the way out.
Either way, we'll go for the middle row. Left.
Okay. You turn over the Avalanche. It represents unrelenting disaster, or perhaps a disaster that can be avoided.
That does sound like my life, yes.
Lelut will choose the bottom right.
The loot. You turn over the Juggler. It symbolizes that fate may be siding with you.
Well, Levi will pick the one that's at the very top middle closest to her.
Levi. You turn over the Cricket. It represents speed and quick passage.
Well, that certainly fits you, horseman.
Oh, it probably fits tough more than myself. I'm not that fast.
Oh my god.
Bad walk. Bad. No. We are not going to the Dark Circus.
Yet.
I am the Dark Circus.
Just because you're a clown doesn't mean.
So when we get Gadron, do you want us to like bring him back to you, or take him to the guards, or do you want us to kill him on the spot?
Oh, we're not quite done with our harrowing yet. I'll need those cards back. Those cards will be omens for you. The
Oh,
next part
okay.
is the spread.
So do we pick another?
Oh no, this is the part where I will do some interpreting. She's going to
Fair.
deal out 9 more cards onto this mat.
Ooh, fancy.
Ooh, the woo. Alright.
So the spread. We start on the top left. The column represents law, as well as the past, where both are immutable. Our first card in the row of good is the Teamster. The Teamster represents a driving force, an external pressure that ushers us all forward. Something does drive each of you forward, and today, one thing has driven you all together. And it will be followed by the Locksmith. It's perfectly aligned. The Locksmith represents the keys to new destiny. With the Teamster, perhaps all of you have a destiny forged by your combined driving force. And not something we can easily dismiss, as the Locksmith is in its perfect alignment. Oh. That's troubling. The fiend rears its ugly head, and it too has found its perfect alignment. Its depiction of a devil swallowing innocence represents death. Many deaths, in great calamity. Placing it in the past, your past, is troubling. Though it is blood that unites most of you, as murder is what many of you seek vengeance for. Moving onwards to the neutral column, the middle represents the present. The joke.
Ah, now that's what I'm here to see.
Oh, well, if you're here to see it, it represents a terror. A danger, perhaps, that must be overcome by trickery or by artifice. Perhaps a valuable omen to one of you that uses trickery as your sharpest weapon. The Rabbit Prince. He's a quirky fellow who represents the capriciousness of combat. He's an omen that tells you to take care in your upcoming battles. For while he represents the capricious nature of combat, his broken blade, it represents that any combatant, no matter how brave or how skilled, can fall. Let's only hope that he's an omen for your enemies. The Rakshasa has also made its return, and it finds itself well aligned. The Rakshasa represents domination, both mental and physical. It standing before a statue is the exterior force imposing itself upon another. This may very well represent your query, because at present he imposes himself on many lives. A ruinous force. The right column. It represents the future. It also represents chaos. For both fluctuate. The tyrant. It indicates a ruler who is a blight upon those they rule. A control who's toxic to those that they care for. In this alignment, though, this card may indicate a tyrant revealed or dethroned. Much how like you may dethrone Lamb and end his influence over those he imposed himself over. Though there could be more tyrants to be torn down.
Ethelred's eyes just sort of swivel towards Erica. And then he just shrugs. It's like,
Erica will remember this.
Erica might, but will Des.
Hey, no calling out the ADHD. That's mean.
Oof, got him.
Fatality.
I'm adding this to my notes page.
Okay.
Erica disliked that -10.
The dance represents harmony. Staying in step. As long as those abide by its rules, it can be a rich and beautiful thing, but it is also a delicate thing. For if one steps out of step, the dance, it can all collapse. This may sound restricting, but perhaps as an omen, it is best for you to play your role in the scores to follow, should you want for the best possible result. The juggler. His alignment is questionable. He represents fate, or he could represent the gods, or any who play with the lives or the destinies of others. As long as he can maintain his rhythm, he will achieve his goals. Fate will be on your side, but should he falter, tragedy and failure are assured in all the lives he's meddled. In his current alignment, fate may not be on your side after all. Take care, my friends.
Wait, does that have any correlation with Lelut?
I'm actually glad that you asked. Because there is a system that builds off of this. As mentioned. According to the results here, each of you player characters have earned 5 Harrow points that you can spend during this chapter of the adventure. Leilut's card appeared here in the outside the choosing in the actual spread. Therefore, Lelut is getting an additional Harrow point. So Lelut has 6, everybody else has 5.
Ooh.
It's actually a pretty good result. It's actually kind of hard to get that many. But yes, keep these in mind because you'll have access to this from this point forward.
Okay.
So, do hero points reset like hero points?
No.
No.
Okay.
They
Finite
will.
resource.
They are reset, and any that are not used are lost at the beginning of each chapter when there's another Harrow conducted.
Okay.
So it's use them or lose them.
I hate resources like this. I am absolutely one of those Skyrim players who had a backpack full of potions and shit because, but what if the next encounter?
Fatalities I do with black bennies, and I'm just going to throw them out when I need them, and if they don't come back, they don't come back. That's it.
I am jealous of your laissez-faire attitude.
Hell yeah. So Ethelred actually thinks about this, and he leans back. So I'm familiar with the building he is currently hiding out in. I probably know a lot of the staff who are currently operating, though. With a little bit of deception and some silver tongues, I might be able to sneak them in. Now, considering that the evidence I've been currently gathering doesn't seem to mean anything anymore, they could perhaps be a useful tool. After all, flashing these and saying that I brought some compatriots to hunt down a mole, perhaps. After all, having the evidence in hand is certainly proof that I have got the best interests of the lamb in hand. We could get closer to him without having to fight anybody.
I like that. Violence is, it should be reserved for a last resort because it's just, it's messy.
Well, I was thinking that the violence be reserved for him specifically, and then his guards that are going to come rushing in. However, we won't have slogged our way through all of his idiots.
Well, yeah, and that's it, the last resort, because if we kill him fast enough, his guards will probably have no reason to continue the fight.
Well, I do have a brother that, works here in a higher ranking position, but he's got his, ear to the ground here and around town. I betcha I could hit him up for some extra information as well.
Just a question. Will your brother end up in some weird situation of trouble if you're asking him about stuff like that and then suddenly there's a slaughter in the area?
No, don't think so.
Okay.
I can't recall. Where was his hideout supposed to be?
The West Pier 17.
It's actually really close to where you guys are now.
Where are we now?
You guys are actually about in the same grid point as where Aethelred's Pog is currently sitting.
Yeah.
There, okay.
It's kind of funny because Aethelred hypothetically picked himself up, stepped out of where he was, and basically walked down the street to stake it out for hours.
And then everyone's like, okay, so now we need to go to the place where you are. He's like, I work there!
Where do you think I got the deep fried fish?
It's kind of funny that no one asked, what the fuck, you work there, why are you here if you're one of his minions? And no one's questioned it so far.
Well,
Right now, I was going off the assumption that you were going deep undercover to stab him in the back.
That is correct, yes, actually. That is a correct assumption.
Got it. One.
Erika is presently taking you at your word that you're not here to ambush her.
Well, he makes sure to say that he's absolutely not here to ambush you, and you've just got to deal with the weird whispers in your ears telling you that he's telling the truth. You're not sure where they're coming from, but he's looking really smug about it.
All right. Well, I suppose we should get on with it, because if we do this right, we can have it done by midnight, and then we can all get to bed at a relatively decent time.
Wondering if Gadrin has a bounty on him from The authorities.
A public bounty? I don't believe so. However, I imagine there are quite a lot of people who would pay money to see his head on a platter. You just need to find who that is.
Rifle bosses are a good bet.
Actually, I'm going to start flicking through all these papers that I made copies of. It's like, is there anybody here who we are have our eyes on that are wanting his blood? Oh god, there's so many of them! Half the city wants him dead!
There are a lot of people that probably want him dead. Weird as it might sound. Alright.
Knowing
so-
our various backstories, not weird at all.